Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Horse Center. I'm here with my Batman, Sean, and to his Robin. And tonight we're joined by special guest Hannah Leahey. Hannah, how are you?
I am doing very well. Thank you. How are you guys? Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. It's all our pleasure for sure. So you started out your career. Well, you went from Kentucky. Is that where you got your start in horse racing?
Yeah, kind of. That's where I started riding legitimately on the track. Before that, I broke babies down in Florida to get
Okay.
ready to come to the track for a few years. I think probably about 3 years. And I was also riding event horses while I was doing that. I actually began doing that to pay for my event horses. And one thing led to another. One gallop led to a breeze, led to a 2-minute clip, led to a breeze, led to a future race, and so the momentum is just continued on, and it took me all the way to California.
Yes, I thought I saw some pictures of you on jumpers. Is that you on the internet on the jumpers?
Yes, it is. I rode Adventures for 20 years. I can't even believe I'm old enough to say that. But I thought that's what I was going to do for a living. Since I was a little kid, I thought I was going to grow up and compete horses. And I worked for a lot of people all over the nation, but primarily the East Coast. And the biggest thing that I took out of working for all those people is that I did not want to compete horses for a living. And then I got into racing, and the rest is history.
Have you ever thought of taking that jumping experience maybe overseas to England where they have all those jumping races and give it a crack over there?
I like to think of myself as a bit of an adrenaline junkie, but I don't think I'm quite there yet at the steeplechase level. Those people are built differently. I applaud them for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, when you watch those races, there was one race I was watching over there with Tom, and I forget what it was called, but did you remember that race? It was like 4 miles long. They're jumping over 30 different
That was the one
barriers.
What 15 of 40 finished the race?
Yeah, it was like a horse racing demolition derby. It was terrible to watch. But yeah, I don't know what is it called? Like the Great Barrier Race or something? Yeah, no, they're running on a track and they go around like twice and they're just jumping over all like 30 barriers. It was really quite something because I would say, like Sean said, what was it, 15 of 40 finished?
Something like that. It was less than half the field.
And then of the like 25 that didn't finish, about half of them were just running wild in the pack at the other one. So it was really quite a spectacle.
Wow. Did the one that win have a rider on it, or was the first horse to cross solo?
No, I think it had to have a rider on at the finish, and he was first with the rider on there, the first one. I think that's the second or third one, though, didn't have a rider on it. Just kind of stayed with the herd and didn't win. But back to the States, in Southern California during COVID, when the jockeys weren't allowed to go into the back, you got a lot of experience as an exercise rider. Tell us how, in the strange way, COVID was actually good for you. Not getting sick, but just the opportunity.
Luckily, I actually didn't even catch COVID until the tail end of it, and I'm pretty lucky. My bout of it was fairly easy compared to the like some of my friends and family. But at least in California, I can't speak for the rest of the country, but I feel for myself personally that COVID really did not negatively affect my business as an exercise rider. I love freelancing. I've freelanced most of my galloping career. And to not have, and I wanted to be a jockey. I had aspirations in jockey at that point, and then COVID hit, so that got put on hold. And it was great for me because now without the jockeys, there was a plethora of horses to work and that needed to be breezed. I know that Jessica was I think she was the only jockey that was allowed on the backside at the time. Like when we had just gone down to Del Mar because she had just taken out her license. And so that it really benefited the people who were trying to snatch up the business and like move forward into something new.
Mhm.
So that was really cool. Be able to work horses that I normally would not have, and then to have so many to be able to work. There were days where I was working 12 horses in a morning. I mean, that's all I did. And that was great. It was definitely something I had to get used to when the COVID restrictions were lifted and all the jockeys came back, and I was going back down to the regular, 5, 6, 7 horses to work on a busy day. But super grateful for that. So I definitely had the easy end of COVID in comparison to a lot of people, and I'm very grateful for that.
And then when everybody came back to the jocks room, you said, you know what? I think I'm going to take my game somewhere else. And you headed off to Turf Paradise, where you were the leading apprentice. Then your first race, you started out, you were, I think, on the lead, and then kind of faded and finished, I think, second. And you must have thought, you know what? This looks kind of easy. Then your second race, you were on the even money favorite, got off to a good start, really didn't have a good end. And then in your third race, and I actually think I bet on this horse, Freiburg, you started dead last. So what were you thinking at this point?
Oh, man. So, that first race was crazy. I'll never forget it. That stretch duel was just incredible. It was a good confidence boost, and it really tested my physical ability there, especially in a very first race. I was physically fitter than I thought I was, which was awesome. And then the third race with Freiburg, I love that horse. He holds such a special place in my heart. I was instructed by his trainer to only watch his wins. And so that's what I did. All I did was, in his past performances, watch the races he won. And he had won from the front, from the back, from the middle. I mean, everywhere, every distance too, from 5 furlongs to a mile, the horse had won. But my original plan was to break in front and go, generally the plan for a bug. But it was cool because when I went to Bubba to tell him my plan, I said, hey, Bubba, this is what I think I'm going to do. And he said, no, I don't want to hear it. I just want you to execute. And I thought that was crazy for somebody who was going into their third race to just have the reins given to them. So that was really neat. And when the gates opened, it was a completely different story. But one of the things that I constantly say over and over is one of the best things that ever happened to me is the 2 years that taking my license out was delayed, because I really learned and had a lot of things reinforced to help me as a jockey that I thought I knew then that I really didn't. And I had an extra 2 years to get that kind of stuff engraved into my mind and to kind of sharpen up those mental skills. So when the gates opened and I was dead last in a field of, I think, 9, maybe 8, maybe I was the very outside post, I didn't panic. There was no element of stress or anxiety or anything. And I thought, well, this horse has come from the back before, so we'll see what he can do. And then he had nothing. I mean, he broke slow, not just behind, but slow motion out of the gates. And I thought, man, he's either asleep or something's going on. And then I give him a little tap on the shoulder, and I mean, just whoo, the engine revved. And I thought, whoa, okay, we're really good back here. I've got plenty of horse. And something just told me, okay, start moving now. And he won it by this much, which was so ironic because I had lost my first race by that much. And then I came back and won my first one by the exact same fractional amount. So it was fantastic. And he's a super, super cool horse. I loved riding him.
Especially to the winner's circle. Huh?
Yeah.
Exactly.
As a jockey, what's the difference once the races start at Turf Paradise compared to Santa Anita?
I had nothing going into Turf Paradise to base it off of. I hadn't ridden a race yet. And I hustled my own book there. I didn't know anyone there. Like I said before, I love the hustle. I love going out there and getting it. And people were very open to giving me a chance. Luckily, I knew someone that had a horse there, and they were willing to give me that first mount that everybody wants to see. Nobody wants to give it up, but everyone wants to see it, you know? And it was a very good first ride. So I think that opened up a lot of doors for me right off the bat. Nobody had known me previously, just at all, period. Not as a galloper, not as somebody outside of the track, nothing. And so the only thing that they knew me off of was that initial race. And thank goodness that it went well, because that kind of set the tone for the rest of my time at Turf, as long as I kept up that pace. And Santa Anita I will never forget the first race that I rode there was maybe 2 or 3 weeks after my first race at Turf. And I just remember the gates opening and just everyone was gone. I mean, I felt that I was pretty good out of the gates in Arizona. And then in California, my mind was blown. I couldn't believe how quick everything went, because I was really able to think through things in Arizona. And like I said before, not feel pressured or stressed or anxious or anything. And not that I felt that at Santa Anita, just things went from regular pace to, sped up times 4. And so there's an intensity, not that it's necessarily more serious, just like it's more in a sense that, riders are quicker. They're really, really sharp. The horses are sharper than like what I was used to in Arizona. And it's a pace that I do need to learn to catch up to. Arizona is a little more laid back. And it's interesting to see. It's very cool.
Every jockey we talk to says the same thing about the West Coast. So I just wanted to see if you answered the same thing, and it absolutely was. So now you were at Santa Anita. Any other plans?
So I actually am headed out to Pennsylvania. There's normally pictures up there, but everything is slowly getting packed up. I am going to start riding at Penn National. And kind of go between there and Parks, and there's a lot of tracks in that area. So I am hoping to just be on the back of a horse 24/7 every day. That's a little repetitive. And my agent out there will be Tony Kofalt. I reached out to somebody in Laurel maybe about a month ago. I wasn't sure how things were going to go coming back to Santa Anita. It's a tough place to get into, and I never doubted that it was possible. But really, ultimately, what it came down to was just riding. Being in Arizona, I rode 5 days a week, at least 2 or 3 horses a day, and the 3 days a week at Santa Anita was just. I wanted more. I wanted more out of that. And as an apprentice, sometimes it's not even 3 days a week for you. So I reached out to Tom Swift at Laurel. He put me in touch with Tony. And Tony and I talked for a couple of weeks about the possibility of coming out there. My heart is in California. I want to stay here forever. The weather alone is enough. But the opportunity to go ride 7 days a week at multiple different tracks is just something that I cannot pass up, especially because my bug year did start before I left Arizona. I came back to Santa Anita with 7 wins. And so I just want to utilize this year as best as I can. And maybe in a year, come back to California, stronger, sharper, better, everything.
Well, at Penn National, you don't have many female jockeys, so there'll be an opportunity there. And Courtney Gerardo is the female that you'll be able to hang out with. She's really nice. So,
fantastic.
A lot of good people out there. In Delaware, you got some good people too. Aubrey Green's out there, so
Absolutely.
you'll be in good hands out there.
Well,
super
what you won't
excited.
have is the California, Arizona weather. You might get it in the summertime, but in about 3 months, you'll be thinking, what in the hell was I thinking?
Oh my gosh. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. I grew up in Illinois, and nobody would believe it. When I first moved out here, it would hit 50 degrees in the wintertime, and I would have my winter coat on all morning. The sun would be out and shining. I would have ridden, 10 horses, and I still have my winter coat on because I'm freezing. I've never gotten used to the cold. I hate it. But I want to be able to be the most well-versed, well-rounded rider that I can be, and riding in the rain, riding in the snow, riding in the cold is something I'm going to learn. I'm going to have to learn to do. So
What part of Illinois? I'm in Chicago.
Not Chicago, Central Illinois. I mean, we literally had drive your tractor to school day at my high school. It was the middle of just crops and cornfields, soybeans, corn. It was a great place to grow up. But as soon as I graduated, I started traveling to pursue horses, whether it was eventing or the racetrack.
Sounds like a path well traveled so far so quickly, for sure. So what's the tattoo under the arm?
This one? It's a paintbrush swoosh. It's kind of a Buddhist type thing. It means Zen and just peace. My first upper level event horse that I had completely made, his name is Zen. We still own him, but we lease him out to a girl in South Carolina. And she does hunter jumpers with him now. His heart is being a hunter. He'll do the eventing and he'll run fast if he has to, but he really rather not. And he was just the perfect horse. Anybody could ride him. You could put a newborn on him, a professional on, okay, maybe not a newborn, but, a professional, a young kid who had never ridden before. I put my friends who were terrified of horses on him. And he was kind of my heart horse of all my event horses. And so that's a little bit for him, a little bit for myself, and just to, come back. It's okay. Things like that. So that was actually my first tattoo. And
so there are others. So I know one person that you could put on that horse and it would not go well.
Look at it.
That would be me.
I have such a funny story to tell you. Oh my gosh, my dad is watching this. He's going to kill me. I had a horse before, before Zen. His name is Dubonnet. He lives in Texas now. And Dubonnet was a quirky horse, had some idiosyncrasies that weren't really favorable, but we loved him and he liked us. He definitely kind of turned over a new leaf when we got him. And my dad loves horses, but from the ground. And one day, the middle of winter in Illinois, it's freezing cold. It was so cold that I didn't even want to ride that day. I just had planned on getting on and walking around. And he's like, you know what? I think I want to jump on him. And I'm like, really? You want to get on? This man didn't want us to have trampolines growing up, anything to endanger our spinal cords, just to know. So he asked to get on. I said, okay. And Dubonnet was just walking around on the buckle, loose rein. And he gets up on the mounting block and we get him up on there. And all of a sudden, Dubonnet just takes off down the arena. And my dad is hanging on and we're yelling, emergency dismount. And he had no idea what an emergency dismount was. And unfortunately, he did take a tumble, but he recovered and hasn't been on a horse since, but I'm sure he could relate to that.
Sounds about right.
Tell me about my story too. I was on a horse one time and we were in some farm in Cincinnati, and people probably tired of hearing it, but you would go out of the building. So we were walking around inside a building, and he would go out of the building, and then he went up to the gate, and there was a hill, and they were doing the jumping, but it was on a hill. a hilly horse, and the assistant hand was like, "Oh, that's a female horse up there that he's interested in." So then they brought me back outside. Then they put him back inside. He decided he don't want to be inside again. This time he goes outside with some speed, and he starts running towards that fence. And there's a lake between there's a fence, a lake, and then the hill. And I thought he's about to go over that fence, into that lake, and up that hill. And I have no idea what to do. But nobody yelled emergency dismount to me. But if they did, I was going to jump off that damn thing anyway. But
oh my gosh. Came out unscathed though, just a couple bumps and bruises.
Nah, just a I'll never ride a horse again mentality. I'll watch them and bet on them, but I'm not going to ride one unless it's like one of those ponies that's connected to those things that go around and around.
Too funny.
So for your trip out to Pennsylvania, are you going to fly or are you going to drive?
Oh, I'm road tripping it. I am having one of my sisters fly out. She flies in tomorrow. She's going to do the trip with me. We're taking a little bit of time to do it and going to hit some, I mean, if you consider 10 to 12 hours of driving a day sometime. But we're going to hit a couple destinations along the way. When I was 19, a very good friend of mine who now lives in San Diego I was living in Kentucky at the time. She asked me to road trip from Virginia to San Francisco with her. She was moving out there for a job. And I was about to start a very big breaking job at a farm in Kentucky in a week from that exact day. And I said, oh man, if we can do it in a week, absolutely. And I was, I'm still a little fly by the seat of your pants, but significantly more so then. And she said, yeah, let's do it. I said, okay. So we saddled up and drove. She picked me up in Kentucky and we drove to San Francisco, and we had to do it fairly quickly with the time constraint. And I always said, if I ever have the opportunity to do this again, because, you know, in the horse industry, you don't really have time to do those kinds of things. I couldn't just take a week off to go road trip across the country. One of the sacrifices we're willing to make here. Now this opportunity is here. So I know we're going to go to the Grand Canyon and not a day's thing, you know, just a couple hours, check it out. My parents just recently moved to Lexington, so I'm going to go see them in their new house. And those are probably the two biggest destinations out of the two. That Kansas drive is going to really test me mentally and physically to stay awake. But after Kansas, once we hit Kentucky, it's going to be just pure excitement, you know, getting to see my family. All of my family lives on the East Coast. Well, you know, mid-country to the East Coast. And I haven't been able to see them frequently in general, and especially since I've moved to California. So once we hit Kentucky, it's just going to be excitement all the way up to Pennsylvania. So the tail end of the trip, which should be the hardest part, is definitely going to be the easiest part.
Yeah, that trip across Pennsylvania is no fun either. It's a long state from east to west, but I'm sure your folks are looking forward to seeing you come through Kentucky again pretty soon.
I think they are. That's how they've portrayed it to me, but who knows? I can be the trouble child sometimes.
I know that feeling too, so no worries. I was the black sheep as well. No question. Now, Sean, he was the one that was always the favorite child, right, Sean?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I guess I was the easy child.
I was the more difficult one for sure. That I would be the one that would go with my friends across country as well, and a moment's notice too. So, Sean, any other questions before we get back to packing up and getting ready to come out your way?
So we got to put Hannah on the spot. She thought we ran out of good horsemen. We never run out of good horsemen. We just, I saw your smiling, positive attitude and stuff, and we wanted to bring you on, show you to our fans. But you said you might have to fill the time with a bad joke or two. We've had people sing. What was the bad joke you had?
Oh man. And you know what? I knew that you were going to ask me this.
You put it out there.
Say it again.
I said, you put it out there.
I really did. And I knew that I was going to forget it if I hadn't written it down. Oh my gosh.
Well, you have put it on the spot,
Yeah.
Sean. So maybe what we can do is you can put it on Twitter, and then Sean will retweet it.
I will, and then I'll tag you in it. So this isn't an unfulfilled promise. This is just a delayed.
You could also do a Ronnie Ebanks and just sing.
You can sing. What kind of music is going to be in the MP3 on the way over there? Is that even what they call them?
You know what? Luckily for me in this situation, I am actually a big dubstep lover. I used to be a huge festival goer before I got into racing. And so most of the music that I listen to does not have any words in it whatsoever. But aside from that.
Well, you can hum the melody then.
Okay. If we take out like the electronic music, I love old school music. Matchbox 20 right off the bat is probably my all-time favorite band. I actually was looking into going and seeing them with a friend of mine here. They were going to be in LA at the end of May, and we never bought tickets. Then right at the last minute, I think it was that day actually, we thought, you know what, we might as well do it. Let's just go. And we went online, went to go buy tickets. I mean, we were this close to pressing buy. And then we take a closer look, and they had pushed the concert back an entire year to 2023. So we almost drove all the way to the Hollywood Bowl to be empty completely with expectations of Matchbox 20.
That's old school, Sean. I thought you were going to come out with like Led Zeppelin or the Rolling Stones, but that to me, that's old school.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go back that far, then my all-time favorite band is the Grateful Dead. So much that I actually have them tattooed onto me. Very influential in my life. I love them. Big hippie band. Not for everyone, that's for sure, but they have a special place in my heart.
You talk about a funny story. When you brought up the Grateful Dead, is a funny story, not pertaining to me, but a friend of mine. Well, was a friend of mine, a guy named Raza. I won't give up his last name because I don't want to get him in trouble, but he was over here from Pakistan. And his brother was here to be a doctor. His dad was one of the main generals over in Pakistan.
No kidding.
So Raza decides he's going to go. He's here. He's a stockbroker. He's trying to make something of his life. And then he becomes a little bit of a hippie. And he starts to follow the Grateful Dead around the country.
No kidding.
No kidding. And his dad finds out that Raza likes to go around. Now, this dude is like one of the top generals over in the Pakistan military. Straight as an arrow, you know, the whole thing. He hears about it. The brother is like, this brother was so tightly wound, man. I thought this guy's going to explode one day. Like, you know, that type.
Yeah.
And so we used to mess with his brother. Like, his brother would be sleeping after a long day of studying for medical stuff, and we'd flip the mattress over on him and things like that. And he'd get so mad at us. But anyway, so one day Raza comes home and he sees all these limousines outside, and they all have the Pakistani flag on them. So they like the delegation from the diplomats came over. No. They were waiting for him in his apartment. And when he went in the apartment, they kidnapped him and took him back to Pakistan because he was following the Grateful Dead around. Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh. He never came back.
Never came back. I found him one time on LinkedIn and like try to link in him. And I'm like, hey man, how's it going? Nothing back. I'm like, you want to go see a Dead concert?
Oh my gosh. I thought you were going to say it totally played out as a joke and they just wanted to scare him a bit.
No. They literally took him against his will back to Pakistan. You're going home, son. That's that.
Man, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if once or twice my parents thought about doing that.
Show up, there'd be a bunch of limos outside your house waiting to take you home.
Yeah, huh? You know, most people would think, wow, this is my day. I've really made it. But that's the day I'm hightailing it out of there.
Absolutely, for sure. Well, we appreciate your time today. And I know Sean told you 20 minutes to 30 minutes. We're right on that 30-minute mark. Perfect. And we don't want this to last longer than your trip from San Diego or from California to Hershey, Pennsylvania. No, to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, right?
Yep.
No problem. Thank you so much for having me, guys. I look forward to the next time we're all together.
Yes, indeed. Well, you'll see Sean long before you
Yeah,
see me
mate,
because
if I make
he's trying to find his way to Penn National as well.
Let's
Yeah.
do it. I'll be your light. Come follow the light. So
Indeed.
we'll meet up there, and until next time.
Indeed. Have a great, safe trip. And when I'm out that way, we'll stop by and say hello as well.
Fantastic. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Have a great
Bye.
night.
You too. Bye.
Bye now. Can you imagine that, Sean? Being like to get back to, as a grown man?
No, and not knowing that's going to happen. You're having the time of your life, and then poof.
Well, he came home from like, I don't know, they said they went like out to eat something, and when they came home, like all the cars were there, and I can't imagine. I mean, I would have known personally if I were me and I came home and like all these cars were out there with the Pakistani flag. The last place I would have went is into my room, right? To my apartment. I would have been like, you know what? I'm calling some friends.
Yeah.
Yo, can I spend a couple days at your house? Oh, man. But anyway, Sean, let's talk a little bit about the news. Bobby Flay, that guy's a cook, right?
Yes.
Yeah, see, now he's also a part owner of Eddie C's not so secret pick for the Belmont Stakes, right?
Yeah, We the People. And the last horse he did this with ended up winning. So that's a good sign there.
That's a good one. And I was going to bring that up yesterday, too, about Eterno Road scratching. And then Rich Strike being in the race that Eterno Road scratches out of. Is that a omen or is that just a weird coincidence?
Yeah, I think that's just a weird coincidence. I know it's kind of ironic that I'm saying, well, last time Bobby Flay did this, but the whole Ethereal Road thing, the only way Rich Strike could get in was Ethereal Road scratch. This one, they both would have been in anyway, and Ethereal Road. And he didn't even scratch because he was never actually technically entered.
Mm. If you want to enter the Eclipse Awards, they're going to go back to Florida this year in 2023, I guess January 26th. Looks to me like you can order some tickets beginning on November 7th. That's a long time away from now. Sean, any interest in going off to see the Eclipse Awards? I don't want to see them. I want one. How do I get one?
Well, you got to get on horses, right?
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen. Well, don't they have awards for like shows like this too? And
I don't know about this, but they have some.
No, they have. I think they actually have like a blogger award or something like that. Not that we're kind of a vlog and a blog, but
yeah. So give it a couple years and we'll be there.
If someone wants to nominate us, we would greatly appreciate it. It would be fun. I'd like to show up. My folks live down in Florida. Be a good time. I can go see my parents. Like Hannah's going to go visit her parents.
There you go. Reunite Rich with his parents.
Yes, and get us an Eclipse Award. That would be at least get us nominated so we can get down there. If you're going to be off in Kentucky down at Turfway Park in the not too distant future, you can head on over to a new grandstand. Looks like it's going to be a nice new track there, Sean. You know, they keep talking about how horse racing is in a difficult spot, but Kentucky seems to be doing things in a different way because, man, they're spending money on tracks. There's on new tracks, on new grandstands at Turfway Park. Certainly not a problem in Kentucky.
So is this the problem? I'm afraid to move. I should move to Kentucky and do what I want to do out there.
Well, it seems to me there's a lot more tracks out there, right?
Yeah. And they're definitely putting more money into it. So yeah, it's a good thing. Did they not have off-track wagering before there?
I'm not sure. I've never been there, Sean.
Because the way I was reading the article, it was like they didn't have it or something. But
yeah, maybe. I would suspect that they have all off track there, but it looks like a really nice facility though when you look at it, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But yeah, it was saying about
I think they're saying a new simulcasting area versus versus an older one, maybe. Like maybe they replaced it or upgraded it, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of places got to do this, and it all comes down to money and stuff, and it also comes to that old attitude of not wanting to change things.
Mm-hmm.
The history of it.
So if you click on the link, so there's over on the right hand side, you see the green little window over here.
I was going to put you on the spot with this.
It was a little bit of a funny trending story over there, but we'll put the link in the horseracingtoday.net recap. And if it's still trending over there, maybe some people will get a laugh. Maybe some people will be offended. I don't know. But in some ways, it's kind of funny. All right. So finally, Sean, the HISA is going to be a headache. July 1st is what? It is approximately 24 days away, right? 3 weeks from today. Is that about right?
It's not
A
3
little bit
weeks
more
from
than
today.
3.5 weeks from today.
3.5 weeks. Yep.
And so far, only half of the personnel that need to be registered are registered, and less than half of the horses are registered. How many horses do you think are going to scratch, and how much paperwork do you think is going to be left unfinished by July the 1st?
Well, I do know there's going to be a lot of paperwork unfinished because I see a lot of horsemen on social, trainers, jockeys that don't want to do it because they don't want to agree to the terms that are on it now. So they figure if they don't sign it, they can get some of that changed. You know how that goes. I don't know if power numbers work or not in this case. So we'll see come July 1st again. And if that means half the fields are going to be scratched, which would be a disaster when you're already talking 6-horse fields. Now you're down to
California, man. You better make sure all your paperwork signed over there.
Yeah,
a lot of match races.
Yeah. So I really think though that if this does happen, I really think they're going to have to push some of this back.
Yeah, I think there'll have to be a grace period, 100% for sure.
Yeah, I don't see doomsday happening with it.
All right, so that wraps up this Wednesday. Takes us from gate to wire. Tuesday, yes. Indeed. I have Wednesday on the mind already, Sean. I've been working on that wagering guide for the Belmont Stakes already. So my brain, it doesn't take much to fry it. It is already fried. Remember those commercials? This is your brain on drugs. Well, my brain was the frying egg without the drugs. That's where I'm at right now. But who's our guest tomorrow night?
Trainer Wayne Catalano will close out the Report Center shows.
A nice Illinois guy. So hopefully we can have a nice conversation about that. Get maybe his thoughts on what he thinks about the folks here closing down Arlington Park. I'm sure he's got some insights into that maybe a lot of others don't have. And then on Thursday night for our Belmont Stakes special, I know we're going to have at least one guest.
Yeah.
Acacia Courtney. Now it's Acacia Clement Courtney, right?
Right. And we're going to move it up to 8:30 p.m. Eastern. So we'll be an hour earlier on Thursday. And we're working on another guest, possibly. I'll know tomorrow, and I'll announce it if it happens.
So we might have two guests for the Belmont Stakes.
Yeah, we're not. The Belmont Stakes is big. I know there's only 8 horses, but it's still a big race.
Well, we work on it. Maybe we can have more guests than horses.
I don't even think StreamYard would allow that.
I don't know. I can pay for it. The next thing is, of course, then on tomorrow night with Wayne Catalano, Erica, the Lone Star Clocker. So Miss Erica Starr will return. We hope she doesn't get caught up in traffic this time around because she's got a fan club now and she can't let those fans down. Right, Sean? Yeah,
I keep getting messages about how good she has been. And, some winners are coming in that she's talking about in the show. So it's definitely, if you play Lone Star, or if you don't play Lone Star, start playing Lone Star on what Erica's telling you.
Absolutely, 100% sure. Some things we keep trying to bring more and more value, working on some other things behind the scenes as well. Sean's got a long article that I'll have to spend like 14 hours editing over the next 22 days. Just kidding. But that should be up shortly. If you haven't had a chance to yet, if you got over to horseracingtoday.net, we have our latest installation of Ask Charles. Charles this week talks about giving horses haircuts, whether or not jockeys matter. And then the other question was, should 2-year-olds run or not? If you have a question for Charles, who's been in the business since 1985, many, many, many years, you can send him a question. He's a bloodstock agent, racing manager, Big Casino Racing, to bigcasinoracing@gmail.com. And then finally, Sean, we had a winner. I know you're going to post this on socials tomorrow, but where are the pictures, Sean? I want to bring them up of the
inbox
on Facebook.
Yep.
All right, because I'm really not good at this social media stuff. As you know, I haven't put a post on my Twitter account in about a month now?
Yeah, it could be.
Just absolutely brutal. So now you know why I didn't do it. I can't find it in the inbox, Sean, so I don't know what to do.
You got to go to Jordan here.
Yeah, I don't see it in here. Inbox. The latest one I see is Antonio Archila. I don't see anyway, you'll have it tomorrow.
Yeah,
Jordan, you'll see that on our social media sites. Jordan Parks, who won the initial Jockey Survivor got his Horse Racing Today t-shirt. And I can tell you this, man, Jordan, and I know, Jordan, you know this is true. When you put on that Jockey Survivor shirt that nobody else has, or that Horse Racing Today t-shirt with the number 5, his DMs are blowing up. They're looking for dates now.
You know what's funny about Jordan is he would message me every day. I guess I got to give you another pick. Like, it was a pain to give another pick. He kept advancing, didn't think he'd advance, and before you know it, he's the winner. Well, actually, I prematurely called him the winner, and then luckily he did actually end up winning. So,
yes. Yeah. So when we post those pictures tomorrow, Jordan, you better be ready for your DMs to blow up, man. You're going to be in high demand. Absolutely, 100% sure. All right, Sean, any final thoughts before we get out of here on this Tuesday? I want to thank Hannah for being a fantastic guest. We do wish her luck, and it's a nice, safe trip across the country. The Grand Canyon should be a nice place to visit, and I'm sure Mom and Dad can't wait to see their daughter.
Yeah, and I'll say, we don't always get, I don't always go after the most accomplished jockeys. I mean, look at Hannah here. We found out more about her too, right with her fans. Some of those are the best shows. I really enjoyed tonight again. I'm working on a couple other things. My mind keeps going on what we can do. It may take months to put it in place, but I'll keep feeling out the ground and seeing what we can do. The Tyler Connor article was joy to write, as it was to relive Friday. So I hope people enjoy reading that article as much as I did writing it.
That I should have up tonight or first thing tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that. Of course, when it comes up, Sean will let you know about it on social media at Horse Race the number 2 day. While you're there, please give us a thumbs up, like Steve Goodrich, John Carabo, Hillary, and Mike Watkins. If you agree with them and you think the show deserves a thumbs up on Facebook, please do so. While you're on YouTube, if you do be so kind as to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and also a thumbs up there. I've said it before, when we have the great ratios, our search terms go up in their algorithms, the more people find us. Eventually, one day, Sean and I will make a dime, and then Sean won't have to move to Kentucky.
There we go. And before Doomsday and horse racing too, I'll be on vacation, and Ty Kennedy will be filling in, and he's got a great lineup too. We're trying to finalize that I can announce it, but when I can, I will. And I also got a really big guest next month too that by next week I should be able to announce. So
I don't even know who it is.
You might know who it is.
Oh, I know who it is. Okay.
Yeah, I think we talked about this. Yeah.
Yes, we did indeed. Well, hopefully he hasn't watched too many of our other shows where I have a little bit of fun. If you know what I'm saying.
People. Tyler Gaffalione came on, so we're good.
Well, I'm waiting for my first check from him. All right, Sean, that wraps up for today. We hope everybody had a fantastic Tuesday. Enjoyed it, our guest this evening, and a little bit of a banter at the end. We'll be back again tomorrow, Terry and I, at 12 o'clock Eastern to go over Delaware Park. We'll do Belmont to get ready for the big weekend at Belmont on Thursday. Kind of sucks when you have four of your first picks win 8 races. Four of your first picks win 8. All right, Sean, what am I trying to say? 8 races. Four of my first picks, one of them, but I missed the one pick 4 at the end. So
half
drives me bananas.
Half of your top picks won.
Yes, indeed. So 50% winners. Maybe tomorrow I can make it 100%. Hope that's the case. Until then, Sean, we hope everybody has a fantastic Terry Tuesday, and that no matter what you do between here and when Terry and I get back tomorrow for Delaware Park, it ends up in the
winner circle.
Absolutely. Have a great evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us again.